witnessed was invigorating. It was honest. It was raw. It was pushing boundaries. It was bold. And I know that it took a lot to be able to see it all the way through. So before we even get into the panel discussion, I want to take a second to just honor these ladies for being bold enough, brave enough, courageous enough to tell the story. So let's give them all a round of applause. Yes. And I want y'all to give yourselves a round of applause as well for being witnesses to this truth, for giving them an opportunity to share their stories to a willing audience to hear them. So what I want to first do is I want to give them each an opportunity to introduce themselves and to also let you know what the intention behind the film was. And then after that, we're going to go into a few different questions. And then we're going to also open it up for you. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask them as well. And then we're going to close it up. Then we're going to have an opportunity for a mix and a mingle so that you have an opportunity to get to know them even deeper on a personal level. Can we roll with that tonight? Yes, amazing. So we're going to go ahead and start on this end. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let them know what the intention of your film was.
Hi guys, I'm Pheonix. I made INFADED. It was the first animated film. Thank you. I'm the writer and director and producer and editor. You know, just jack of all trades.
Yes.
And my intention was, well, I wrote this script in 2020, so this is long ago, and I was much younger. And a lot was going on in 2020, I'm sure, as you guys remember, and a lot of things socially, politically, and I needed something that was fun. I also grew up on DC animation, Marvel animation, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney, all those things, anime fan. And I just wanted to kind of pay homage to what my version of something like Adult Swim would be, my Adult Swim show. So that was my intention, just to keep it light and have some fun. So yeah.
Yes, let's give a round of applause. Amazing.
Hi everyone, my name is Maryna Bogdan and I made a film called Thank You. It's about Ukrainian immigrant talking to 40 American women about the war. And my intention behind it was just to tell my personal story and what I have been experiencing. And since the war has still been going on for so long, to kind of convey that message of like, okay, don't forget about Ukraine, although everyone's tired of the subject of wars and everything that's been going on. But yeah, it's still on, and that was my intention, to kind of keep that conversation going. Woo!
Hi, my name is Cyn Hilaire, and I am the writer, producer, and actress of Makeup and Medicine. I wrote this film to explore family dynamics and also to explore the conversations that happen between first generation Americans and their parents and what that might look like in a universal story, and culturalize it with Asian Americans. So yeah.
Amazing.
Hi everyone, my name is Mélisa, and I was the director, executive producer, and a few other things for Black Women Euphoria. I think you heard from me what my intention was and the reason behind it during the film. But at the end of the day, I wanted Black women to remember who they were and to rewrite the narrative that's very prevalent in the media. And so to enjoy rest and euphoria and reclaiming us. So that's the intention behind it.
Hi everybody, my name is Tracey Belizaire and I'm the director of The Third Goodbye. I honestly wanted something funny and relatable out there. I think that the story that was told showed a dynamic that you don't really see on TV or online or anything like that. So I just want to take a shot at it. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Hello everyone, my name is Monique, Lindsey, and I was SION. And I made this wanting to really tackle like the idolization of love and how that can be very damaging. And also I just wanted to make something with my friends. And when I watch films or anything in general, cinematography excites me. So we really wanted to lean heavily on the cinematography and the colors and everything to tell the story that we were telling.
Yes, let's give it up for all of our incredible filmmakers. So our first question of the evening, just speaking even to the different intentions, and we'll popcorn style it, answer it if you choose, is in regards to, we live very rich lives, and there's so many stories that can be told. So many stories that can be told in your own lives, as well as stories that you may witness in your day-to-day life. How do you decide which story makes it to the screen? Out of all the stories that you have, how do you decide which one is the one that you write about?
I'll start. It's the idea that you can't stop thinking about, for me at least. Granted, this story that I told loosely was based off of my own experience. And in that year, I was like, I want to make a short, but I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And then when I went down, I was like, oh, okay, this is it. And so it's like continuously thinking about it and then talking to people about it and then like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I think for me it's what makes the story stand out and something that you should pursue. So.
I love that. Anyone else?
One that can be done on a low budget. A couple of friends.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have money for anything too big.
Yeah.
I'm a piggyback off of that one. Makeup and Medicine was shot in one house in 2 days. And I had another short, and I was just like, how much can I realistically raise to make this happen? And so that's how I picked that film.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a little bit of the logic behind it as well, and not just strictly a good story. Okay, that's a good perspective. Anyone else?
I mean, I would echo all of those things, and just something that you still feel like is worth it. After you film it, there's a whole lot of other things you have to do to complete the project, and yeah, just something that you write and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see this through. This is a story worth fighting to tell.
That's good. Anyone else?
Okay. I don't know. I feel like all the projects come in differently, but with INFADED, usually the character designs come first. So I could see them in my head first, and I liked the way they looked. And once I worked with my character designer and storyboard artist, and our minds are like this, because we are interested in the same type of shows and movies and stuff. And so when that started to become more clear to me, I feel like once I can start seeing my main characters more clearly, then it's kind of like a lightning bolt moment, and I just like keep going with it. So I don't know, the stories, there's not a lot that like comes to me at the same time. There's usually one that's a lot more like, it's louder than the other ones, visually.
I love that. I feel like there's so much. We heard a little bit about it being something that you can't stop ruminating about. Also something that you visually see. I see the tie between the two of those, but then also moving very practically because we are working off of the tools and the resources that we have. Absolutely love that. No pressure, but I don't want to move on if you would like to answer it.
Ditto.
Yes, 100%. I love that so much. And so speaking to the experience of creating the films, we heard a little bit about how there's a lot that goes into it before, after, during. What are some of the biggest lessons that you learned either about yourself, your craft, or maybe even the story itself during the process of filming?
Oh, it got really silent.
My skills expanded during this. I did rely on other creators' coloring, editing, and things like that. But when it came to like marketing and like whoever was on my email list, thank you. I got really creative in my email list with graphics and things like that, and making sure not to spam people. So that wasn't like, I didn't go to school for that, and that's a new skill that I learned on the fly and was like on all the free Google apps to see how I can do it on the low and stuff like that. So my skills definitely expanded.
I love that. Anyone else? Any key lessons or takeaways from the film process?
I learned to trust people. I have a tendency to want to control things, and I can't do everything. And so making the film, I think I kind of let go more, which now reflects in my everyday life, which is great. I can sleep and do things that normal people do. But yeah, for me, it was like trusting people, my collaborators, knowing that, okay, they can hold their weight, and that I just stay focused on making sure this is a good project at the end.
Love that. Anyone else? The lesson, yeah.
Just to know what to fight for and fight for your vision, and like really figuring out, like you're saying, or being smart about certain things. And you know, my film had a lot of different locations and different things in it, and a lot of it was fought for to make work with a very low budget, you know, and to be, which is the gift of having a low budget, because then you're very creative and come up with awesome ideas to make things work that you wouldn't have otherwise, you know. So just making sure you have a battery in your back when you're in the process to fight for the vision and not falter and not be lackadaisical, because I can sometimes be like, whatever, you know, but no.
Yeah, speaking to like budget and team and being able to pull their resources together to make something like this happen, realistically, what does that look like? Whether that is to get funding, to get people to join your team and your vision without the funding, what is the process of being able to produce something like this realistically? Like, pull back the veil. What's really going on behind the scenes?
I'll go, because I'm still traumatized. It started with the script. Then I, you know, messaged all my producer friends, creative friends, and was like, do you kind of like want to do this with me? Until someone took the bite. And then like, we really went for it. We had one pitch meeting and got an investor. Thank you to my investor, appreciate you very much.
Yes.
And then, you know, it was a seed. So then we had to do our crowdfunding, which I will never do again. I did not like that at all. But that entailed making like the pitch video. We had fiscal sponsorship, which is like another creative, lucrative, or best way to like collect money where everything becomes tax donation, so it incentivizes people more. We then went after people who had corporate jobs and was like, you know, your company can match this, right? So like all those little creative things, all the emails went into that. We had a whole month of campaigning trying to get people to donate, and I'm talking about everybody. I was texting people in my phone that like I haven't spoken to in years. Everybody, like, I was going to, you know, events when I was like, nah, I to my email list, you know, I'm not gonna spam me that much. I really didn't spam my posts like that. So like, okay, all of that, and then you finally get the money, you're like, whew, okay, great. Now you have to like budget everything out, and then you realize you don't have enough money, okay? So after you spend everything, and then you dip into your money again to like just see it through and make it happen. And like, okay, I spent a year and a half in post, in part because of the BS of like just the outside world, and in part of going back and forth. And I also like had the coordinator hat, post-production coordinator hat, going back and forth between the different teams. My composer is in South Africa, like just doing all that to compose it. And it's like, oh, I finally have this film, like now what? And like, you know, then you come up with a whole plan to like present it and then start submitting it and things like that. And then you start thinking, well, you started thinking this like in the beginning, but like now you really have to think, how am I gonna make this money back? You know? So,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Anyone else?
So for me, Black Women Euphoria was self-funded, and a lot of what Cyn is saying is kind of where the process of where this project is now, of, okay, funding for the expansion of the project. So that's something I learned more deeply about myself, is just like the constant pivoting, right? But as far as like the budget, I mean, I'm excited about where we stood with this budget because it was lower. However, we made something really incredible that we were excited about, and so then it's like, well, what's possible for the future, right? Like, when we get this, what could this look like? As far as the difficulties, I would say, sometimes it was timing, sometimes it had to do with the editing process and all of that, but overall, I felt like we really produced something that was really incredible with a lower budget. And this was, again, self-funded 3-part process.
Wow, I can tell that it takes a lot of dedication and commitment to be able to create these things. It's absolutely incredible. Anyone else want to speak to that?
I'll go. First, I just want to say hi, chat. I'm streaming right now. Hey, chat. Probably about like 6 viewers, and that's on a good day.
Yes.
But I'm grateful.
Celebrate.
Love you guys.
Yes.
What was I saying again? Oh yeah. So, wait, actually, what were we talking about?
The process of getting a team,
Right,
funding,
right.
the actual process, the nitty gritty.
Right. Yeah, I winged a lot of it, I'm not gonna lie. I basically was like, okay, what positions do I need? Most important was me, the character designer, storyboard artist, animator. That was my main focus at first. Animator is going to be the most expensive by far. And back to one of your questions about a lesson I learned is, like in live action, you can have multiple shots. Even on set, you can, change a shot if you need to. Animation, you got one shot. You have to pick, you know what I mean? You got to pick what's good, and you have to work it out with your artist. But that was a very hard lesson, I would say. And with that being said, that's like also, it's a budget thing, You have to make sure that, you are getting everything done, not only just like under a certain amount of time, but you have to make sure that what you're asking for meets the budget, right? So for animation, it's a skill set thing. So like, for example, if your budget is like 5,000, this isn't live action, it's gonna look like 5,000, right? But it's also like animators, they're very expensive. So you just have to make sure that who you're going for, matches your budget, but also everyone on my project was essentially first time at that role, in a sense. So like for the character designer, it was me and my friend in college, and I wrote the script, and I was like, hey, do you like this script? And he doodles and stuff, and I was like, do you want to do character design? And he was like, okay, I like this script, let's do it. I jumped right into it, and then I was like, do you want a storyboard? And he was like, I've never done it, but let's do it. So it was, a lot of the budget was, I would say, a smaller budget because a lot of these people were doing these things for the first time. And it's a good thing for their resume as well. Like all of us doing this together and learning a lot from it. So it just really depends on like, I could go for a storyboard artist that's worked on, on like, let's say, like a DC thing or whatever, they're gonna be $10,000, So a lot of it was like mutuals, a lot of like friends and stuff, and so that really, I guess, helped the budget.
And Destiny, Muse, I wanted to just say something. Pheonix, it triggered something. I realized that I kind of blinked out on the question, and I wanted to just say that as far as the process, I would think it's really important to, as a director, you are setting the tone on the set, so who you hire is important. So just making sure that its alignment is there. I think that's a crucial part. So that way you set the tone for the set, and then everybody else falls into line, you know, with what energy you're putting out there.
That's such a good point, because with anything, your team, the alignment, the group of people that you have coming together in a project, you see that on the other side of the project. It speaks to how stressful it's gonna be when you're already walking into something that is stressful. So that alignment piece is super important. Diving deeper into that alignment piece, I'm so glad that you did mention that. How do you define alignment? When do you know that this is the person I'm supposed to work with? How do you decide?
For me, that would be the person who responds to my texts and
Yeah.
because if they take a super long time to respond, we're not in alignment. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it has to be kind of, we have to be on the same page communication-wise.
Yeah.
And we have to have the same styles of communication. So for example, if someone only responds to me at like 2 a.m., right? I don't know if that's gonna work. If you're my DP and you're only available late at night, I don't know. So the communication is really, really important, if not the most important.
Anyone else? How do you determine a good teammate?
Are they excited about the vision? I mean, if they're deadpan, that's not the person. For me, that's like, okay, you're not my people, right? So I definitely pick up on, okay, I'm sharing something that's really important. It's a message that's exciting for me. I'm not saying we have to mirror each other exactly, but I want to see, are you fired up as much, right? So that's like a key point for me to look out at. And of course, do you have the skills?
Yeah, I would just echo that. Someone that is hopefully as excited, but also just wants to give their all to whatever you guys are doing. Because when you make something together, like yes, it's ensemble, we're not coming from theater. So it's ensemble working together, but it's also a marriage. You guys really have to be in this thing and fight for this thing to work, right? So the alignment is, we gotta really have the same like end goal and be about it, you know, and communicate.
Anyone else? All right, well, I have a couple more questions, but before I get into mine, I want to open up to the audience to see if there's anyone from the audience that has any questions for any of our filmmakers. And don't be shy, don't be shy. Yes.
What are your backgrounds? Like, are you from the film industry, or what do you have a background that's different and you kind of fell into this? Like, I would love to hear just kind of what brought you here.
Do you mean like work experience?
Work experience, yes. Professional work experience, education.
Okay. So for me, I'm from Ohio. Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. I'm a big Buckeye fan, so yeah, I don't know how that contributes. I figured it out. So that's my background. I went to Ohio University. I was in media production. And from there, I was in an internship program called OU to LA. And there, I did some internships, blah, blah, blah. Skip forward, I worked at Warner Bros. As a line producer's assistant. And then from there, my last job was at DreamWorks Animation. I was assistant to the chief creative officer in feature development. So within that, I was working on 20 plus projects in development, whether they were getting through to production or they were in development hell. So there's a lot of different experiences, but it was really beneficial because we had screenings of every single film, and not just, it's multiple periods. It's kind of like quarters. You kind of get to see the films throughout, and getting to see that on the highest level, you know what I mean? Like these films are for the globe was like huge for me as a director, and just was learning so many things that I was, doing wrong, so many things that I was like, okay, I'm on track here. So that was really helpful. And also just to get that executive and creative leadership, understand that talent management, and also just kind of that dynamic. And when it comes to story, it really helps. So that's my background, and that's how I'm in the animation world still. So.
For me, I was born and raised in Ukraine, and I came to America when I was 20 years old. I'm 30 now, so just my 10-year anniversary just passed. I was an English major, and my first job was a copywriter. And then I moved to the US, and all that went down the drain because I couldn't write in English. So it took me like about 6 years, 5 to 6 years to really learn how to write in a new language, in my second language. And then once I learned how to do that, I feel like one morning during COVID, I just woke up and I said to myself, I think I can direct this, or I can, become a director, which was a wild thought. I did take some photography classes, some art and painting and writing classes, but no one kind of taught me how to be a filmmaker, and for some reason I decided that I can. And yeah, I just went from there. I made a couple short films. This is my third short film, and I have one more in development, a couple music videos, and have been doing that ever since.
Yes.
I'm from Fort Lauderdale. I remember I was in this after school program, and they gave me a notebook, and I started to write a lot. And like sometimes I still read those things. I'm like, damn girl, this is what you were talking about. But anyway, so I was writing very young, and then I was also very enamored by people on my TV, and specifically people in movies, and I just love to escape in that. So I had the bright idea, I'm gonna become an actress, oh my gosh. And then, I took a bunch of classes. I begged my mom to pay for them. Then I begged my high school to put a theater program, and they did. And then I went to college and I studied theater. And then I was like, maybe one day I'll like make a film when I become a starlet. The starlet part hasn't happened, but I was just like, you know what? Yeah, let's make my little film. I do like to write and tell stories. And so that's how it happened. I kind of always been in this space, trying to pursue it just because I like it. So yeah.
So I have a corporate baddie background, in marketing, creative direction, etc. And I recently, in one of my previous roles, I was kind of thrown into production. Sort of created web series, award-winning web series and things like that. And so I really loved it. I loved being on set. I really feel energized being there. I was a producer and a director on some of those things. And so I left that corporate baddie persona behind for now and pursued this. And that's kind of how I fell into this. But I've always loved kind of what Cyn was saying. I've always loved cinema. I'm a cinephile. I love Quentin Tarantino. Is my favorite director, actually. I always feel so alive on the set and being able to tell other people's stories. And so that's where I'm at.
Incredible.
Similar to Cyn, I'm from Fort Lauderdale. I'm also Haitian, and I'm supposed to be a nurse, y'all. Studied journalism in undergrad, right? And COVID happened, and I realized that like Muse was very dark and it fit my vibe. So I was like, okay. And I found my way into entertainment. I started as a PA on an indie short film. That's how I met Cyn. And then from there, I worked on rap shit. And then from there, I ended up on the corporate side, the business side. I worked at a talent agency, W&E, for like 3 years. And then I realized I didn't want to be an agent. It came to the point where like, I'm working for people who are representing talent, and I feel like I'm the talent, so I just feel like and so then I was like, oh, I want to make a short, and then that's when directing happened. So that's my story.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm from Sacramento, and I grew up, I knew I wanted to be an actress when I was like 3. And so I did the thing, did theater all through high school, did theater in college, and went to Long Beach State, stayed here, and been pursuing it ever since, and also teaching theater to kids sometimes, and doing theater internationally for the military, and doing all these things. And finally was like, you know what, all these auditions I'm getting, I'm not excited about. A lot of these scripts are not that good. Or they're just not characters I care to play, or things that I have done. I have done some great things, but there's certain cinematography that I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to see myself this way. And so, yeah, and this is what came of that. And I'm continuing to write and hoping to make some more things. So.
Yes, let's give them a round of applause. It's so incredible to see what you all were able to accomplish, and knowing that all of your stories and backgrounds are so different. It just makes it seem so possible, especially to wake up one day and say, no, this is what I can do. And then you do it. So that's so inspiring, all of your guys' stories and how you guys got to this point. Are there any other questions from the audience? Yes.
Numbers wise, what is like a low budget range? I'm an accountant, so that's why
It's subjective. Some people have made films on $2,000, okay? Like, nobody's getting paid. My film, let's just talk about my film. To get, and one, I'm in LA, so there's a lot of talented people who just want to work, who need to check, So my film maybe was like 16, 17, 18. And that's the quality you get, okay? There's other short films that can cost $100K. Yeah. Right? And those are the nice ones. I've seen those. Girl. That's my answer.
Anyone else? This speaks to
It's subjective, my love. Like, honestly, right. So, for example, this film was about like $5,000, but you know, more to come. Like, you know, the next thing is what's the not the post production, but the post life of this, right? So, again, it's subjective. I hope that helps.
My film was under 10,000. A lot of it went to rentals because none of the people I work with own any equipment, and also insurance. I forgot to mention that I work in insurance, yes, still. And I basically wrote my own policy, did the quote, and I took a 5% commission, and still. It was so expensive, you guys. And I look at that payment that I made to myself, well, to the company, but on my own from my credit card, and it's ridiculous. It's just a one-day shoot. Yeah, so the premium was about I would say 1,900. So yeah, I mean, if that gives you an idea of like where the money goes.
Insurance is a scam.
Okay, yeah, do we have any others? I know I see one here. We'll go here and then back this way. So we'll start here.
Yeah, two questions for you two. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember everyone's names. Did your family end up being okay? Are they okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Everyone lives.
Okay. Thank you for asking. Yeah. And for I think it was Cyn?
Cyn, yes.
Yes, and I love the purple eyeshadow.
Thank you. I my movie, yes.
And I was gonna ask, was that your mom in the film? Did you cast your mom, or was that someone else?
Actually, no. It's the beautiful actress Maryna, who's right there. But it's so funny because when we finally got, so we did our auditions, videos, and whatever. So when we all got on set, we were like, oh, we have literally the same skin tone and like basically the same features and the cheekbone and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't look nothing like my mom, like nuts. So that's her actual pattern. So yeah, to answer your question, no, it's not my real mom.
I was gonna say, yeah, I thought that was your actual. I was gonna say, wow, your mom's a great actor.
Casting, which was also me.
Yes. Before we jump to the next question back there, I'm curious, what were all the roles and the hats that you guys played in your films? Because I know it was so many of them.
Therapist. No, executive producer, writer, director, editor. Yeah, that's it.
Producer, executive producer, I guess, writer, director, editor, casting, everything.
Writer, executive producer, actor, marketing, accountant. Whew. Yeah, customer service. Locations. Lucky I didn't do locations. I wasn't in charge of that. So yeah, I had a lot of hats, but then started to delegate. So yeah.
Yes. Anyone else want to share?
Writer, co-director, producer, casting, editing, actor, and the location, all that. But I feel like that's director and stuff too, but yeah.
I was the creator, director, producer, casting. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Director, producer, founder, executive producer, creator, marketing, et cetera, all under my what was that? Okay, sorry. All under my production studio. So, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Go ahead.
Wait, I want to add, because I didn't hear it, a lot of us were the business managers,
Yes.
right? Because something we didn't mention is that we opened, well, I don't know if everyone did, but I did. We opened LLCs for this, so we actually become the moving company, right? And then fundraising managers, we were that.
Thank you, Cyn. Yes.
Yeah.
It gets blurry after a while.
Right.
It's
After
I don't know
where I'm at.
I'm
Yeah.
in between time and space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So shout out to the multifacetedness that exists. The ability to carry so many different hats, to do it with grace, I'm sure sometimes, you know what I mean? Because when you carry that much, it ain't always graceful. But the fact that you guys were able to carry so much and produce is absolutely incredible and so inspiring. Because a lot of times as creatives, we're told to niche down, to be in a box, to choose and pick a lane. But you guys are prime examples of how, in order to see a project all the way through, sometimes you got to play all the lanes, many of the lanes, and be willing to learn on the way. So kudos to y'all for being brave enough to say, you know what, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it until it got done. Yeah, one more clap for them, one more clap for them. Yes. And then we have time for one more question. So we'll go back this way.
I just had a quick question about sometimes when we have something in our brain and we want to create it, and then you actually have to sit down and do the work, do the budgeting, do the scouting, et cetera, find the equipment, casting, all the things. Sometimes we have to kill a shot that we really, really wanted to have. And I was just wondering, did any of you have to kill any shot that you really wanted, and how did you pivot? Or could you paint the picture of what it would have looked like if you could have had it in your film?
My short had a lot of that, so much so that one of the scenes it rained. I was sick. It was Sunday too. I was just like, God, please, come on. We did pivot, obviously it stopped raining, but like it went into a shot that I wanted, like blue light, right? But like, because we had to push that shot, it got later, so it was darker, but it still came out good, but it wasn't what I thought I wanted, you know what I'm saying? But again, it came out the way it came out. I hope y'all like it.
I'm gonna say one, I didn't direct my film, Gabby Barlett-Tier did, and there were scenes that were written that I wanted, but they didn't get that day. It was a 2-day shoot, and like when I was on set, I was just trying to be an actress, honey. I wasn't worried about all that other stuff. I wasn't. So there's like 2 scenes. One in particular is one of the mom scenes. And it talks about the frustrations that we have with like the automated messages because you can't get a real person on the phone. And I wanted to play on her accent and like how that looks like the language barrier between like a machine and stuff like that. And it was another way to show like, to bring some laughter into the film, right? Because it does get pretty heavy, and to show like the mom's personality a bit. And then another scene that they told me that they couldn't get, and I was like, okay. But basically it was the makeup smashing on the floor. The way it was written was like, you know, you see all the colors. She grabs the holes and she sprays it down, so you see all the colors like mix, and yeah, all the dreams and fade away by the hands of her mother. And you know, that was kind of sad that it wasn't gotten, but you know, I'm still satisfied. And again, I was not in charge of that. I was just being an actress that day. So.
I'll say something that happened on my set. The second day we were filming the argument scene at the end at my friend's apartment, you know, we were saving some money. And we got kicked out. And we were supposed to film in their pool for our last scene that day, which was an important scene that I'm like, okay, I'm not losing this pool scene. I really want the shot of him jumping in, the camera goes down, like I need that shot. Thank you. And so the next day, everything had to change. Every location changed for the next day. Yeah, the next day. And it was our last shoot day. And so 2 scenes that were originally written in the script did not make the film. And we adjusted, and again, it is what it is. But also the scene where there's like a muffled phone argument and then there's like a montage of what you've already seen, that was to fix not having the 2 scenes because now it didn't build up to the separation, and I was like, well, I ain't gonna spend another $10,000 getting everybody, we gonna figure this out. So that's kind of what happened there. But we adjusted. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I had to cut my very first scene, and basically it was, the first scene was my female alien had a language translator on her arm, and I was struggling with the scene because it didn't feel right. It was very awkward, and I knew that it didn't feel right, and but I wanted it in there because of like the logic of just like jumping in and you're like hearing aliens talk, you know, at first they go, you know, you don't know what they're saying. And like she basically would be speaking like alien language, and then she changed it to English. That's like the initial first scene. But it was really awkward, and it wasn't working, so I just decided to cut it. And it actually was just very helpful because it didn't matter, really. If you're struggling with a scene, you know, if you should keep it or not, you could always, you know, just play it for a friend, you know, with it in there and then without it, and get that feedback, and maybe a couple friends, you know, because sometimes some people, like, they're not gonna even notice, they're not gonna know, you know, so you just have to figure out if that scene is really contributing to like the theme and like the plot, you know. If it's not, then it's really a skill to like be able to edit and cut things out.
Such a nuanced and complex process of the give and the take and the highs and the lows and the letting go of and the fighting for and finding that perfect in-between balance to be able to create something like what you all were able to create. So once again, I just want to congratulate y'all for choosing to do it, because you didn't have to say yes, but you did. And you created something. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead, we'll do one more. Okay, no. Okay, we ain't gonna do no more. We got a mixer. Look, we got a mixer. Do we have time for 2 more? 2 more? That's it? 2 more, 2 more. Okay, go ahead, you first.
Thank you for bringing it out. So being a creator today, it can be really hard. There's a lot of forces, just like in life, right, that will go against you. So I would really love to know, what is your why? Why do you continue to try to fight for your creative to be out there? What motivates you to keep trying to produce and create this content for folks today? Would love to understand what motivates you all today.
Honestly, I feel like it's my soul mission. I've been thinking about this for a bit, for a few years, and one of the things I wrote, I have like a letter board at home. One of the things I wrote was like, I'm a creative masterpiece, trying to masterpiece, right? And to bring creative to the world. I feel like that's part of who I am, to tell stories and to give voice to my own perspective, but also the perspective of others that I feel aligned to. So that's kind of where I am, and how I keep going is just to take it one day at a time, and to breathe deeply, honestly. I mean, it sounds very lowbrow, but it really does matter how you take in every day.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that.
Go ahead, girl.
This was my first short, but I'll say, like, I felt sick if I didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think for me, I have to continue to create so that I feel alive, so I can live, because I think that's what I'm created to do. And if I'm wrong, Lord, then please change my direction. But it's been going this way for a minute. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so yeah.
This is for my descendants. For me, we deserve nepotism. Like, yeah, I want to open the door for my family in the arts. No one else in my family has done it as a career. You know, some have done it as like a hobby, but never as a career. And so, yeah, you know, I think it's important to, you know, just build that, it's generational wealth, but it's also just like that freedom, you know, to be able to open doors for, you know, the people behind you, so.
I'll say, I know that we are created to create. And throughout history, storytelling, whether it's, you know, people is talking around a fire, or they're watching movies and television, we are the change makers, right? People have new perspective, people hopefully gain empathy, people cry and maybe see themselves in a way they never saw themselves, or have clarity about things because of the stories that everybody chooses to tell. And I just think it's really important, and I always have. And, you know, especially with everything going on. And even when we're thinking about COVID, like a lot of shows and things that were popping at that time were funny because we needed some joy, you know? And yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, as bad as things look in my personal life or in the world, it's like art and storytelling is necessary.
Yeah.
You know?
So good.
I love everything that has to do with filmmaking, and I love being on a film set. And I feel like when I'm on a film set, I don't have to pretend to be anybody else. I don't have to like exercise other identities. I can just kind of be. And I just love to create. And I really like your point too about creating never families and never
I'm just trying to talk. No, for like, I think like, no, like
Let her finish, let her cook.
I had a journal and I wrote everything in that journal, and throughout moments in my life, given all the little intricacies, given that I'm the youngest, given that I'm the black girl, given that my mom was very much like a 1950s housewife, like shut up and you keep it in the house. Like I have been writing everything in that journal, and like there's moments that I find ways to express it. I don't know if you guys have visited the merch area, but my book is another way that I've expressed myself. Thank you. I've expressed myself, and I've tried to just tell, honestly, like my story and what I'm feeling and how I interpret this world and how it impacts me. And then like I think throughout like the journey, every now and then, like with every piece of something that I put out, I find out that people, oh wait, we're having these feelings and we resonate, and like, you know, like in part of healing myself, like it starts healing other people, and I'm okay just like talking and living in that space and commenting on the ish that's happening. So yeah.
Yes. Such a good question. Such a good question. I'll give it to you. That was great. That was great. All right. And then we have one more back here. Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Hello.
I was just very much inspired by all of you guys. Hey, Cyn. My question is, especially I resonate with all of you guys, being the marketer, being the business person, the bookkeeper, the attorney, everything. It gets very, very much overwhelming. So I'm very curious, especially the one film that I saw about rest. How were you all prioritizing rest? How were you guys scheduling things, especially for the ones that still have a 9-to-5 job, life is happening? How did you guys do it with playing, you know, all these hats and prioritizing rest at the same time?
Me and my producer met like either every 2 weeks or once a week when we started this process. So it was just, you know, throwing things on a calendar. And I think like in the development and production phase, like it was kind of like easy. We dedicated time and space. And then came the time like of the day of the shooting, and like that was kind of like we were like very meticulous and organized in that way. So like by the time shooting came, it was like super easy. Now afterwards, I got burnt out because I was juggling like a job, then a layoff, then a few vacations, and then you know, and then just like LA life and family stuff. So I got burnt out for a very long time. It took probably like a year going back and forth to like finalize the edit. And then like another like 3-6 months to be like, okay, this is it, and like now what we're gonna do with this. So yeah, I don't think there is like balance. They taught us, I remember in school, they were like, oh, balance your life, that's a lie. Like we're not supposed to be 8 hours stuck in the day at someone else's job like that. Like we're not. There's no balance in that, because you only have like 4 hours real time at home, and then you gotta prep for bed. Like it's not real. So yeah.
Anyone else?
I'll say this. This moved really fast. So probably January at the beginning of this year was when this kind of kicked off with me having this idea, and then kicking it off with the pitch meeting to 2 women I wanted to bring on board. This was supposed to debut at the end of February for Black History Month. I did get burnt out. I also was dealing with the passing of my grandfather and still having to pivot. And so I think part of it is just being honest with yourself. 1, 2, learning how to rely on your team. I think there was a lot of like narrative in the film here, right? Of like thinking that you have to do it all. And in this case we did, but also it's important to say, okay, I need to take a moment for myself. This is not going to work out for the end of February. What else can we do? And so we wound up premiering this in New York City and Brooklyn for the end of Black Women's History Month, right? So again, another time to pivot, give ourselves some space, give us some space to also pitch to sponsors for this event, and all of the things. And so I think that's part of it, like knowing that it goes back to the alignment of your team and feeling connected to them. For me, that's been my experience. And being honest with yourself about what you can and cannot do, and not being embarrassed that you had to put down a hat for a quick second and pick it back up. You know, there's no shame in that. And sometimes we do have it, like, oh shit, we missed the mark. But there's no shame in putting it down and picking it back up, returning to it when you feel called to.
It's good. Anyone else?
I'll say I used to be a person that was running around all the time, always doing something all the time. And I've learned, with the help of my now husband, how to rest and be still and not feel guilty about it, and recharge and not feel like I need to finish whatever I'm doing right now in this moment, because that's also something else I realized is my personal need to work really hard at something and get it done right now is my ego telling me that you're not accomplished or you're not good if you don't finish this thing right now, you know? So that's something that I've been unlearning and allowing myself to rest and be still and breathe and enjoy life to the fullest in between all the pursuits of all the things that are coming to me. So,
Love that so much. My last question for y'all, just really short and sweet. I know there are a lot of creators in this space who may be inspired by tonight's conversation, and they have a story that they want to tell. And they're like, I don't know where to start. I don't even know how to even move into making this story real. What would you say to somebody that is on that edge, that they know they have a story to tell?
Write it down.
Yeah. Go for it.
No one can tell your story like you. So, you know, just tell it.
You have the vision, what you're gonna do with it.
Yes.
Find a good producer.
Yes.
I would start by writing down the positions you need, and then how much you're willing to spend on those positions. And obviously the story is really important. So the script is probably where you really need to start. I guess before those other two things. Start with the script, whether you're writing it or someone else is, and then essentially break down that script by each scene, each character, each prop, every costume, literally like everything. And if you need more help on it, go YouTube it. There's so many resources out there on how to break down a story and how to get it done. And I really suggest YouTube for that, so.
I'd also like to add, like, don't wait. Don't wait for the perfect time, for the perfect setup. Just do it. You'll get further that way.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Tracey. I'm good. I was gonna also say, look at your project with a bird eye view. Sometimes to the point of like the generational wealth and things like that. Sometimes you have to take a step back and look at it like, how can this be distributed? How can I make a profit out of this? Why? Like, do the thing for your passion and all of that, but also look at it from a larger scale, right? So don't get caught up in the minutia, but also think about like, how can this further impact so that more people, a wider audience gets to see your story and your narrative. That's really important, and putting yourself out there.
Incredible. Let's give another round of applause for our filmmakers. Round of applause, round of applause. It has been such an incredible opportunity to get to know each and every one of you and to be able to witness your films.